What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are at episode 57 of the Be Great podcast. I am your host. The NFL draft just happened. Literally last week, or this past weekend. It wasn't really last week. I don't know why. Well, I guess technically it was last week. You know what? That's neither here nor there. We have a very specific topic that we have to get into. I think we all know what that topic is if you watch the draft. If you've heard anything about the draft, this is the most talked about topic regarding the draft. Obviously, this is a college football podcast. Anyone new watching? But because it's kind of a lull period in the off season, I have decided to. I've been talking about the draft a lot, and today I'll just be kind of reviewing the draft, but really talking about a main topic that came out of the draft. And yeah, we'll get to college football stuff, college football offseason stuff here soon. Not exactly sure what I'm going to be talking about next week. I might talk about the spring transfer portal window. That might be the move. A lot of moves were made. But yeah, that'll be next week. So I'm so excited to talk about this topic because it revolves around someone who 2 weeks ago, I had a video about a topic with this player, and I ranted about him in that video. And now here we are again, shocker of all shockers. And that's Shedeur Sanders. Or sorry, Shedeur Sanders. I'll say his name right out of respect. Shedeur Sanders. So, as we all know, if we watched the draft or anything like that, he fell to the fifth round. I think it was the fifth round. And he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I think it was pick 144. So, a lot of narratives have come out about this. A lot of people who want to make excuses. Look, excuses sound the best to the people who make them. Okay? That doesn't make them reality. I think, to me at least, it's clear what the reality is. And you just had 32 NFL owners and GMs and head coaches tell you what that reality is. It's that he's not that good, ladies and gentlemen. Is that he's not what people claim he is. And I've been saying this since he first got to Colorado 2 years ago. I've been saying this. He is not great at anything. He's not prototypical size. He doesn't have elite arm strength. He's not mobile. He's not a statue, but he's not mobile. His accuracy is fine. And quite simply, his numbers are not generational. To me, Cam Ward was clearly the better player and prospect. To me, Jackson Dart was ahead of him. For me, at best, he was the third best quarterback in the draft. So then you could look at me and say, well, then why did Tyler Shuck, Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe get drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders? Because it's not ever been about just your on-field play. It's never been just about that. That's a big part of it. And that's, in my opinion, the most important part. But teams do not want a clown show. And that's what Shedeur brings. He brings a circus. He brings a clown show with him. He brings a ton of attention that you don't want. And the problem is that when you bring a guy like Shedeur in, where people are so they're so delusionally confident on this guy. Like Shedeur for someone who's so mid, he has so many just diehard fans who just swear on everything he's the next Tom Brady, like Mel Kiper, who was on the NFL draft coverage drinking Dion's bathwater. Okay? But here's the thing. If your on the field talent is not generational, is not fantastic, then that will not make up for your off the field stuff. Okay? Teams felt like Shedeur was not worth his talent on the field was not worth the headache. It's really not that simple of a sorry. Yeah, wait. I completely messed that saying up. It's not that hard of a concept. It's not that hard of a concept. It really isn't. Okay? He is entitled. He's arrogant. And look, I want my quarterback to have some confidence. But we saw report after report come out of anonymous GMs who said that it was one of the worst interviews they've ever had in their lives because he came off as entitled. He came off as, I don't want to be here. He came off as disrespectful. All of these things. And then you just magically think that you are still going to be drafted. I know, because this is a story that came out. Brian Daboll, head coach of the Giants, wanted Jackson Dart the entire time. He saw him as his next Josh Allen. For those that don't know, Brian Daboll used to be the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills before taking the head coaching job at the Giants. That's why he cares about the Josh Allen thing. So he saw Jackson Dart as his next Josh Allen. Everyone else was torn between Jackson and Shedeur. Shedeur goes and he visits the Giants. He meets the owner of the Giants, John Mara. And from the reports, Shedeur was disrespectful. He wouldn't take his headphones off and have a legit conversation with John Mara. And these owners are old school guys. They're old school guys. And reportedly that rubbed John Mara the wrong way. And John Mara was not quiet about that to other teams in the league. Now, why did he drop to the 5th round? There's a second part to this. People act, and I wrongfully said it earlier in this episode, people act like, oh, all 32 teams didn't want Shedeur. That's misleading. Because all 32 teams don't need Shedeur. You think the Chiefs are out here thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to get Shedeur Sanders when I have Patrick Mahomes or the Bills or the Ravens? No, they're not thinking that. That's ridiculous. I think there was about, probably 8 to 10 teams who did the full work scouting on Shedeur to actually take him. Right? One of them was the Giants. Okay, once they took Jackson Dart, they weren't going to take Shedeur. One was probably the Titans. They took Cam Ward, so they weren't going to take Shedeur. So now that goes down by 2 teams. The Steelers met with Shedeur and apparently then were out on Shedeur because they liked Jalen Milroe and Will Howard more. Okay, that's another one gone. The Saints took Tyler Shuck. That's another one gone. The Seahawks took Jalen Milroe. I don't know if the Seahawks they might have done the full stuff on Shedeur if they were thinking about taking a quarterback the whole time. But again, that's another one. And the Browns, you could tell. After the Browns drafted Shedeur Sanders, they showed the camera of the GM and the head coach sitting there, and they were just, I mean, it looked like they would have rather drafted a dead person than draft Shedeur Sanders based off their reaction. Because, see, that looked to me, because we know Haslam, the Browns owner, he's friends with Dion. That looked to me like someone, like a team, who had the owner come and say, you're drafting Shedeur. You're drafting Shedeur, trade up, draft him now. And so they did. Because how could it be anything else? Honestly, how could it be anything else? They just drafted Dylan Gabriel. Why draft Shedeur Sanders? And so, to me, I think the media has done a big disservice to Shedeur. I think they've done a big disservice to the fans. I think there's nobody who did more damage to Shedeur's NFL career than Mel Kiper already. Mel Kiper all weekend basically compared Shedeur to Tom Brady. That's not going to end well. That's not going to end well. He doesn't have the talent of Tom Brady. And I keep hearing people say, oh, Shedeur, he's such a good leader. Is he? Is he? Because what I saw, every time he lost, it was blame everyone else. It's not Shedeur's fault. It's the O-line's fault. Oh, how many times did Dylan Raiola get touched? You tell me that. It's not my fault. It's that we didn't have a run game. He doesn't take accountability. He's a bad teammate, which makes him a bad leader. It's not that hard to understand. And Mel Kiper wants to go on a rant about it's 50 years. 50 years. They don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. I know how to evaluate quarterbacks. They don't. Mel, buddy, listen. Listen, Mel, buddy. Just because teams don't have your exact rookie prospect big board to a T does not mean they don't know what they're doing. Because, Mel, you don't know what you're doing. The fact that you had Shedeur as a top 10 overall prospect shows that you don't know what you're doing. I can name you 20 guys just off the dome that are more talented and better prospects than Shedeur Sanders. But he was in your top 10. I think he was at 5, if I remember correctly. You had him ahead of Cam Ward. Same guy who wants to yell at the NFL and all these teams and say, y'all don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. No, you don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. This is the same guy who, when it was the draft class with Jimmy Clausen, I don't remember what year that was. The same draft class with Jimmy Clausen. What did Mel say? If Jimmy Clausen doesn't end up being a successful NFL quarterback, I'll retire. We're still waiting, Mel. We're still waiting for their retirement. We're still waiting. This guy is a joke. Mel pisses me off more and more every year. This guy is constantly wrong. He's constantly an idiot. NFL GMs call him out every year. And yet he still has a job at ESPN. Why? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't. It just blows my mind. It honestly just blows my mind that people are so just wrapped up in these narratives surrounding Shedeur Sanders. I mean, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just say something else. I've already seen mock drafts released for the 2026 NFL draft. I am telling you now. If my Pittsburgh Steelers draft Drew Aller, I don't know what I'll do. I will go catatonic on this microphone. I will go catatonic. I will not be able to compose myself. I will not be able to hold in my rage if the Pittsburgh Steelers draft Drew Aller in 2026, that bum quarterback at Penn State. Who I look, I feel like I'm pretty good. I feel like I'm pretty good at being able to tell. I can't always predict which quarterbacks are going to hit, which quarterbacks are not, or which quarterbacks are going to hit, because no one's really perfect at that. But I feel like I am very good at being able to tell which quarterbacks are absolutely not going to hit. I had to preach up and down about Anthony Richardson. I knew Anthony Richardson would not hit. I told anyone who would listen, Anthony Richardson was going to be a bust. But no, but but Grayson, his potential. He has so much potential. He has all the attributes. You're right. He has the potential. He has the attributes. He can run. But can I just ask a question? Can I just ask a question? Why are we drafting a quarterback who cannot, if you were to put him on a boat in the middle of the ocean and tell him, "Hey, Anthony, I want you to just toss that boat, just toss the ball into the ocean." He would toss it into the ocean and somehow miss water. He's that inaccurate. But no, he has the potential. He has potential, right? He has the potential. And what's he doing in the NFL? Absolutely nothing. Constantly injured. And even when he plays, the Colts are better off with Joe Flacco or somebody else. I feel the same way about Jalen Milroe. And guess what? I feel the same way about Drew Aller, because every big game I see Drew Aller play, he sucks. He's losing his team games. He is the reason Penn State loses some of these big games. The game against Notre Dame in the playoff semifinal, Drew Aller was awful. Awful. But yet I have to hear about, Drew Aller might be the first overall pick next year. Like, what does he have to show you? How many interceptions, how many games does he have to screw up for people to finally admit that Drew Aller sucks? How many? How many? Somehow I went on another Drew Aller rant. I just can't help myself. That guy just, oh my, it drives me crazy. And it's nothing personal against him. People just have this affection and this obsession with Drew Aller, and I don't get it. I don't get it. It's the same thing with Shedeur, basically. Everyone's obsessed about Shedeur. He's mid. He couldn't even win a championship at Jackson State. But don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Colorado retired the jersey of a 5th-round pick. Congratulations. That's not a total embarrassment, right? As far as the overall draft, I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting, and it kind of what happened was basically kind of what I thought would happen. Not as far as the specific picks, but as far as, man, we really don't know what some of these teams are going to do. A lot of them. And that showed. There was a ton of talk of the Panthers drafting Jalen Walker. They go Teteroa McMillan. A ton of talk of the Falcons liking Mike Green, Jalen Walker. Now, and the Falcons then traded back into the end of the first round and got James Pierce Jr., which I loved, by the way. That was great from the Falcons. There was a lot of talk of teams wanting to trade back, of the Browns wanting to trade back. I didn't hear about the Jaguars, though, wanting to trade, being the team to trade up, and then taking Travis Hunter. And then there were three picks that I hated in the first round. because I thought they were unequivocally stupid. The Cowboys drafting Tyler Booker, who is a second round talent at best, and they draft him at 12 because Jerry is sitting there like, well, I need a guard, so I want that one. Sure, Jer Bear, sure. The second one, Emeka Egbuka to the Bucks, which I'll talk about in a second because there are people saying really stupid things about that pick, and I'm going to get to that after I talk about the third pick that I hated. Donovan Jackson to the Vikings was terrible. Donovan Jackson was a borderline third-round pick. Borderline third-round pick, and you picked him in the first round. I don't remember what specific pick it was, like 24 or something. Terrible pick. Terrible. Especially when you have Malachi Starks there. Nick Ibn-Wari was there. Will Johnson was there, although I know the injuries is why he fell. You had a number of players there that you could have taken, and you took Donovan Jackson, another guard who should have went in the third round. But congrats. Congrats, Vikings. But let's get to the Emeka Egbuka pick. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's slowly becoming my least favorite pick because of how everyone else is talking about it. Everyone's talking like, oh, Emeka Egbuka, he's such a good receiver, such a good player. The Bucks, oh my gosh, that offense just got better. Did it? Did the offense just get better? Do people not understand? It's not just about drafting good players. It's about your scheme. It's about fit. Emeka Egbuka does not make sense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's not me hating on Emeka Egbuka. That's me hating where he went because it doesn't make sense. You have an X receiver in Mike Evans. You have your slot in Chris Godwin. Here's my problem. How many slot receivers are you going to put on this team? Jalen McMillan is a slot receiver. Trey Palmer is a slot receiver. Guess what? Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson, who you drafted both of them, they're both slot receivers. I think I saw something where I think it was, yes, the Bucks have like 15, 14 receivers. 9 of them are slot receivers. How many slot receivers do you need? How many? And I have to hear from Bucks fans, oh, we're picking them for the future because Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they're getting older. You're not good enough to be drafting for 3 years down the line. And you tell me, oh, we're drafting for the future. How? Mike Evans is the oldest wide receiver on your team. You didn't draft a backup X receiver. You drafted a slot. 2 of them. 2 of them. Chris Godwin, and I understand. Chris Godwin's always injured. That's why you have Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer. Hello? Jalen McMillan's good. Trey Palmer's fine. What about the defense? Oh, but we drafted Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison in the second and third and day 2. 2 corners. Oh, great. Benjamin Morrison, who barely played last season, if he played at all due to a hip injury. Was it a hip injury? It was a hip or a knee. It was one. I get him and Savon Revel mixed up a lot. So a constantly injured corner. And you chose Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison, who are 2 aggressive man-to-man corners for a Todd Bowles defense, which is off-the-ball zone. Like, what are we doing? And I hear people defending this. I saw people giving the Buccaneers an A. What? Oh, for what? For what? They didn't draft they drafted 2 edge rushers late, Elijah Roberts and David Walker. But you should have drafted an edge rusher early. You need a pass rush. And don't tell me, oh, we signed Hassan Reddick. He hasn't played in 2 years. He sat out all last year with the Jets. You gave him a 1-year deal. Yaya Diaby, are you kidding me? He couldn't beat me off the line. That's dramatic, but you get my point. Like, what are we talking about? Draft a safety. Malachi Starks, imagine putting him with Antoine Winfield. Elite. A linebacker. How about a linebacker? Jahad Campbell was right there. And I know Jahad Campbell, he has a lot of injury concerns. It would have been a better pick than Emeka Egbuka. And you want to tell me, oh, we're playing for the future. You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Plan for the future. Plan for the future. Because that will never get you a Super Bowl now. You're not going to win. The Bucks. I don't even know if the Bucks win their division because the Falcons had an amazing draft class. Because the Falcons recognized their needs mixed with draft good players. What was the Falcons' biggest need? Pass rush. So they said, you know what? We're going to go get Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. They might not both hit, but odds are one of them will. And they focus on it heavy. And then they go and they draft 2 safeties who were both good. Xavier Watts is really good. Oh, I forgot what the other one was. It Billy Bowman? Was that the other one? It might have been Billy Bowman. Because guess what? The Falcons almost won the division last year with a rookie quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. Imagine if Michael Penix Jr. played all season. They probably would have won the division. Just saying. But Bucks fans are delusional. They don't want to hear it. I liked Bucks fans for a long time until this past weekend because they all lost their minds. I have to hear about how, Emeka Egbuka, he's so good. He's so talented. If you were going to draft a slot receiver, why did you pay Chris Godwin and give him a 3-year deal? Why? If you were just going to draft Emeka Egbuka, or if you like your other slot receivers so much. And not to mention, Matthew Golden was still on the board, a better slot receiver. Matthew Golden is better than Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka has never, ever been wide receiver 1 on Ohio State. He was never wide receiver 1. He always was benefited from the fact that he was never the defense's main target. That the defense wasn't like focusing on him because the defense had to worry about Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jeremiah Smith. Matthew Golden was by far the best receiver on Texas last year. Matthew Golden played Georgia twice and destroyed us both times. Look, next week, we're going to be getting into the spring transfer portal window. It's officially closed, but we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about which teams I felt like did well in the spring transfer portal window, some big additions to some teams. And then after that, who knows? Maybe we'll get into some preview for 2026 stuff. Maybe. I hope everyone has a great Wednesday. Hope everyone has a great week. We're in a lull period here where we're just kind of just waiting for football season to come back around again. We're having to deal with boring baseball season. Baseball's not a sport. It's basically an activity. It's so boring. It puts me to sleep. It's such garbage. And when we're dealing with playoff basketball, which is fine. It's fine. My homie Tyrese Halliburton hit a game winner against the Bucks last night. That was nice to see. Love my boy Halliburton. I hope everyone has a great day. And please, no matter what happens in your day, good or bad, always remember to be great.